Hi guys, I'm your host Keith Baxter, and this is Obscure Legends. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning listener, welcome back, and thanks for tuning in. Today we're diving into a legend that's been terrorizing a small Kentucky community for nearly a century. It's a tale that blends the line between urban myth and real-life tragedy. A story of a creature so terrifying, it's said to lure people to their deaths with nothing but its hypnotic gaze. I'm talking about the Goatman of Pope Lick Bridge. Now, before we begin, I have to warn you, this story involves real deaths. And while the existence of the Goatman itself is debated, the danger of the bridge where it's said to dwell is all too real. So, are you ready to explore the dark history of one of America's most chilling urban legends? Then buckle up, because this is the story of the Pope Lick Monster. Full disclosure, this episode is about to get dark, so listener discretion is advised. The Goatman of Pope Lick Bridge, a Kentucky legend. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows across the Kentucky landscape, an eerie silence descends upon Pope Lick Bridge. The rusted metal trestle looms against the darkening sky, a skeletal remnant of a bygone era. Local residents hurry past, averting their eyes from the imposing structure. For those who know the legend, this bridge is more than just an old railroad crossing. It's the domain of a creature so terrifying, so otherworldly, that merely speaking its name sends shivers down the spine of even the bravest souls. Welcome to the home of the Pope Lick Monster, better known as the Goatman. Nestled in the outskirts of Louisville, Kentucky, Pope Lick Bridge has stood for over a century, its steel framework a testament to the industrial age. But long before the first train ever rumbled across its tracks, this area was steeped in mystery and folklore. The Native American tribes that once called this land home spoke of strange creatures lurking in the forests, neither fully human nor entirely animal. As European settlers arrived, bringing with them their own superstitions and fears, these tales began to evolve. The legend of the Goatman began to take shape in the early 20th century, coinciding with the construction of the Pope Lick Bridge. Workers reported bizarre occurrences during the building process, tools disappearing, unexplained noises echoing through the night, and fleeting glimpses of a shadowy figure darting between the trees. As the years passed, the stories grew more elaborate, weaving together elements of local history, supernatural lore, and the deep-seated fears of the human psyche. On a crisp autumn evening in 1957, 17-year-old Sarah Thompson and her boyfriend Jack Miller decided to take a moonlit stroll near Pope Lick Bridge. The young couple had heard whispers of the Goatman legend, but dismissed them as nothing more than campfire tales meant to scare children. As they approached the bridge, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. "Jack, did you hear that?" she whispered, clutching his arm tightly. "Hear what?" he replied, trying to mask the tremor in his voice. A twig snapped in the darkness, and both teenagers froze. The air grew thick with tension as an unnatural silence fell over the area. Even the crickets had ceased their nightly chorus. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows at the far end of the bridge. In the pale moonlight, Sarah and Jack could make out the silhouette of what appeared to be a man. But something was terribly wrong. Its proportions were distorted, with elongated limbs and a misshapen head. As it moved closer, they realized with horror that atop its human-like body sat the head of a goat, complete with curled horns and glowing red eyes. Paralyzed with fear, the couple watched as the creature raised a gnarled hand and beckoned them forward. Sarah felt an overwhelming urge to step onto the bridge, her mind clouded by an inexplicable compulsion. Jack, fighting against the same hypnotic pull, managed to grab her arm and drag her away, just as the distant whistle of an approaching train pierced the night air. As they ran, the sound of cloven hooves on metal reverberated behind them, mixing with an inhuman howl of rage. They didn't stop running until they reached the safety of Jack's car, their hearts pounding and minds reeling from what they had just witnessed. News of Sarah and Jack's encounter spread quickly through the small community, reigniting interest in the Goatman legend. Some dismissed their story as the product of overactive imaginations or a cruel prank, but others weren't so sure. Over the following months, more sightings were reported, each one adding new layers to the terrifying mythos of the Pope Lick monster. Local historian Margaret Whitaker began researching the legend, digging through old newspapers and interviewing longtime residents. She uncovered a pattern of strange occurrences dating back to the bridge's construction in 1929. Workers had reported seeing a bizarre creature lurking near the work site, describing it as having the body of a man but the head and legs of a goat. Some even claimed to have heard it speak, its voice a guttural mix of human speech and animal bleats. As Whitaker delved deeper into her research, she stumbled upon a disturbing theory about the Goatman's origins. According to one elderly informant, the creature was the result of a twisted experiment conducted by a reclusive scientist who had once lived in the area. This mad doctor, obsessed with combining human and animal DNA, had allegedly succeeded in creating a hybrid being, but at a terrible cost. The creature, possessing both human intelligence and animal instinct, had turned on its creator and escaped into the wilderness surrounding Pope Lick Bridge. Driven mad by its unnatural existence, it was said to lure unsuspecting victims onto the bridge, using its hypnotic powers to draw them into the path of oncoming trains. As the legend grew, so did the number of thrill-seekers eager to catch a glimpse of the infamous Goatman. Despite warnings from local authorities about the dangers of trespassing on the bridge, curious teenagers and paranormal enthusiasts continued to flock to the area. In 1980, the legend took a tragic turn when two high school students, attempting to cross the bridge on a dare, were struck and killed by a train. Witnesses claimed to have heard an inhuman laugh echoing across the valley just before the accident occurred. The incident sparked a heated debate in the community about the real dangers lurking at Pope Lick Bridge, both supernatural and all too human. Over the years, numerous theories have emerged attempting to explain the Goatman phenomenon. Some believe the creature to be a demonic entity, feeding off the fear and suffering of its victims. Others suggest it might be a cryptid, an undiscovered species lurking on the fringes of human civilization. Skeptics argue that the legend is nothing more than a cautionary tale, designed to keep people away from the dangerous railroad trestle. But for those who claim to have encountered the Pope Lick monster, the terror is all too real. Survivors speak of an overwhelming sense of dread that descends upon them as they approach the bridge, followed by an almost irresistible compulsion to walk out onto the tracks. Many report hearing a hypnotic voice in their heads, urging them forward even as the rational part of their mind screams for them to turn back. In 1988, paranormal investigator Dr. Elaine Chambers led a team to Pope Lick Bridge, armed with cameras and scientific equipment. Their goal was to either debunk the Goatman legend or gather concrete evidence of its existence. What they experienced that night would haunt them for years to come. As the team set up their equipment on the bridge, a dense fog began to roll in, obscuring their vision and interfering with their electronic devices. Chambers reported feeling an oppressive presence weighing down on them, as if something was watching from just beyond the veil of mist. Suddenly, their instruments began to go haywire, registering massive electromagnetic fluctuations. The temperature dropped dramatically, and team members reported feeling an overwhelming sense of fear and disorientation. In the chaos that ensued, one of the researchers stumbled and nearly fell from the bridge, saved only by the quick actions of a colleague. As they scrambled to gather their equipment and retreat, Chambers claims to have seen a pair of glowing red eyes watching them from the fog. The team's footage, later analyzed by experts, showed a shadowy figure moving at inhuman speeds across the bridge. While skeptics argued that the video could have been easily faked, those who were there that night remained convinced that they encountered something beyond human understanding. The legend of the Goatman continued to evolve in the digital age, with online forums and social media platforms becoming hotbeds for sharing encounters and theories. In 2010, a group of college students launched a website dedicated to tracking Goatman sightings and compiling historical data about the legend. The site quickly gained a following, attracting both believers and skeptics from around the world. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence posted on the site was an audio recording captured by a local paranormal investigation team in 2012. The eerie clip, which went viral almost immediately, featured what sounded like a mixture of human speech and animal noises. Audio experts were divided on the authenticity of the recording, with some claiming it was clearly a hoax while others insisted that the vocalizations were unlike anything produced by known animals. As the legend of the Pope Lick Monster gained international attention, it began to attract a new generation of thrill seekers. Despite increased security measures and public warnings, people continued to risk their lives attempting to cross the dangerous trestle bridge. In 2016, tragedy struck again when a young woman fell to her death while trying to escape an oncoming train. Witnesses reported seeing a strange figure on the bridge just before the accident, reigniting debates about the real dangers posed by the Goatman legend. Local authorities and railroad officials have repeatedly stressed the very real dangers of trespassing on the bridge, emphasizing that the true threat comes not from a mythical creature, but from the high-speed trains that frequently cross the trestle. However, for many believers, these warnings only serve to fuel speculation that there's something the government is trying to hide. In recent years, some researchers have begun to explore psychological explanations for the Goatman phenomenon. Dr. Rachel Simmons, a cognitive psychologist specializing in the study of urban legends, suggests that the power of the Pope Lick Monster lies in its ability to tap into our deepest fears and desires. The Goatman represents a collision between the familiar and the unknown, Dr. Simmons explains. It's human enough for us to relate to, but animal enough to trigger our instinctive fear of predators. Add to that the isolated setting of the bridge and the very real danger of the trains, and you have all the ingredients for a perfect storm of psychological terror. Others point to the legend's roots in local history and folklore as a key to its enduring power. Kentucky has a rich tradition of supernatural stories, from the Bell Witch to the Waverly Hills Sanatorium. The Goatman, with its blend of cryptozoology and urban legend, fits neatly into this tapestry of regional myths. Despite decades of investigation and countless eyewitness accounts, the true nature of the Pope Lick Monster remains a mystery. Is it a flesh and blood creature, lurking in the shadows of the Kentucky wilderness? A supernatural entity drawn to the fear and fascination of humans? Or simply a cautionary tale that has taken on a life of its own? For Sarah Thompson, now in her 80s, the memory of that night in 1957 remains as vivid as ever. "I know what I saw," she insists, her eyes clouding with emotion. "It was real, and it was terrifying. I just hope that people will listen to the warnings and stay away from that bridge. Some things are better left alone." As night falls over Pope Lick Bridge, the legend of the Goatman continues to cast its long shadow over the community. The old trestle stands as a silent sentinel, guarding its secrets and daring the brave or foolish to uncover the truth. For those who venture too close, the question remains: is the real danger the mythical monster that stalks the bridge, or the all-too-human desire to believe in the impossible? The legend of the Pope Lick Monster has endured for nearly a century, captivating the imaginations of generations and leaving an indelible mark on Kentucky folklore. While the true nature of the Goatman may never be fully understood, its impact on popular culture and local history is undeniable. As we reflect on this chilling tale, we're left with more questions than answers. What really lurks in the shadows of Pope Lick Bridge? Is the Goatman a product of mass hysteria, a misunderstood natural phenomenon, or something far more sinister? And perhaps most importantly, what does our continued fascination with this legend say about our own fears and desires? As you ponder these questions, remember that the line between myth and reality is often blurrier than we'd like to admit. The next time you find yourself near an old bridge or a lonely stretch of railroad tracks, listen closely. That rustling in the underbrush or that distant cry on the wind just might be more than your imagination. If you enjoyed this exploration of the Pope Lick Monster legend and want to dive deeper into the world of lesser-known urban legends, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment below sharing your thoughts on the Goatman or any similar legends from your area. We'd love to hear your stories and theories. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss our next spine-tingling tale of the unexplained. Until next time, sleep tight and maybe keep one eye open.